Good morning. We are back. In a manner of speaking, we're not totally back yet, but greetings and salutations to everybody. This is really exciting. This is the first, and it's just a test. It's just a test. Oh, I forgot to do the, let's see here. There's the countdown. There we go. I gotta figure that. Anyway, this is just a test. Test of the broadcasting operating system. We are not fully functional yet, but this has been quite the adventure. So let me, the countdown's gonna go for a minute while I get to find little bits and pieces set up here. I gotta make sure that, oh, that's right, I can't use this mouse on, where's my mouse pad? Oh, it doesn't matter. We are clearly nowhere near fully functional yet. This is not a fully functional battle station. Is that the line? Something like that. But we're getting there. We're getting there, and we were functional enough to actually go live today from here, even though it's only partial. But it's exciting. It's very exciting to be in the new space. And I'm going to give you kind of, I can't really give you a tour yet, but for those who have, let me finally get my chat, here we go. For those who have been watching the adventure as we went, okay, definitely got to figure that out better. It's been an adventure, hasn't it? It has. This countdown, you know, we're not going to forget the countdown. Who needs a countdown? We're just going to, we're just here, we're at the show, we're just doing the show. This is it. This is the show today. Let me see what's going on in the chat. I need my mouse pad. Where's the, oh, I can see it. I can see it. It's almost in reach. I'm still tethered on my ears, so that is something that we still have yet to resolve. Just takes money, but we'll get there. We will get there. All right, let's see what's going on here in the chit chat comments. Sean Mark Dimper, I can't wait to see what it sounds like in there. Well, sound is definitely, yeah, no, that makes no sense, buddy. Sound is definitely one of the new challenges. So in the old room, we had not sound isolation, but we had a much cleaner environment because it was a controlled environment. We didn't have as much fan noise from the neighbors, but I had noise coming in from their break room, which was really awesome. And when I came out here, it sounded different. So now we're going to be out here the whole time, so it's going to sound the same no matter what I'm doing. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But let me just quickly go through the comments here, and then we'll explain what is happening. Serge, good morning. Greetings to you. Greetings to Martin. Thanks for joining me on the party the whole time we were building this out, and I'll explain what the hell I'm talking about for those who don't know what I'm talking about. There's this, Serge says, there's a Russian saying, measure 7 times and cut only once, not a bad approach. Funny, we say measure twice, cut once, but that's, apparently you guys do it more. Yeah, background hum, Martin, there is a background hum. So we're gonna be tweaking the audio. We're gonna keep on trying to get it better, but because this is the first time that Ryan's got the full EQ position with me out here. Also, we probably are gonna end up knocking some blankets up in here just to kind of isolate this space a little bit more, but we'll see what's happened. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let us discuss. Good morning, and welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment. The first one of 2018 is barely really a show, but this is just here so that I can show off what we've been doing. And what the hell have we been doing? Well, back in 2017, I decided that it would be a really, really good idea to move my entire broadcast studio from the little room that it was in out into the main studio space. Because I've got this 1,000 square foot warehouse that is my studio. And when I first moved in here, it was a very different thing. I wasn't doing video at all. I was certainly not in the studio. I certainly wasn't doing live. And, well, I guess I shouldn't say I wasn't doing video at all. I was doing my live training, but that was like literally a webcam on top of the camera. Oh, how things have changed and grown. Over time, the little room became the broadcast studio / recording studio. This space was left open so I could set it up for photo shoots and video shoots, but then it just kind of got more and more cramped. Jason moved in for a while, the editor, he moved out in December. He rented a place closer to his home, and so I decided instead of trying to rent that space back out again, I was going to take advantage of that freed up space. And basically, the objective here is to turn the entire large working studio space into a workable, shootable space. Does that make sense? I want to be able to shoot essentially anywhere here. And you're seeing the beginning of that right now. Now, when I did the full rebuild starting the day after New Year's, right? Yeah, January 2nd, I guess. Yeah, that's right. I didn't think it was going to be this complex. So you've seen before the grid that I had hanging over my head in the other studio. That's where I hung lights from and camera, the overhead camera. When we moved that out here, it didn't really work right. The ceilings in here are 20 to 30 feet high, so I can't, and they're unfinished ceilings, so there's really no way for me to hang stuff from the ceiling without major effort and expense. So I tried hanging it from the wall. We're in a corner, so it was kind of mounted on 2 points, and then high tension wires holding it to the other wall to keep it kind of cantilevered. And it worked in the sense that it was there, but that's about where it ended. It ended up, because my torsion angles, my tension angles weren't exactly even, so it ended up being kind of distorted. And then it was picking up vibration from the other room, this fan that's in there, and so that got really crazy. It was just, the whole thing went, you know what, forget it. We're starting over. So what I ended up doing is building this massive structure that you can't see and you're not meant to see, but you will see when we do some wide shots, but not today. You're gonna have to come back to that another time. I have this whole huge structure built over me now, and it's freaking cool because it's really solid. I have all the lights and overhead cameras and new shelves all built here to hold everything. I'm going to build, probably going to end up moving the front camera onto a new shelf on there. There's a whole other, there's still more to do, but it allows me a lot more flexibility, which is really cool and exciting. One of the things I wanted to gain by moving into here is to change out the background. So the background was the solid gray wall, which frankly was getting a little bit boring. And sure, I could change it out with another solid color, but you know, how exciting is that going to be? I would much rather have this dynamic, actual working space in the background. And that's what I've got now. When I did the GH5 video, that was in this room. Things were obviously completely set up differently. There was kind of a custom lighting setup for it, but I really liked that the background was a real background and not just a solid something. So that's what we get now. So that background will constantly change. Now, clearly, it's just an utter disaster. You can see how good that looks right now. That's where all the rest of the crap is that still needs to be arranged. But that is, of course, the demo space that you've seen many times before, where I've gone out there to do live demos. So I'll be able to, from here, especially once I get untethered on my ears, just go from here and walk over there and do my thing, right? So if I go from here and walk back, obviously I'm out of focus right now, but this isn't the camera that it's going to be on. But as I make that transition over, I stay in frame. I don't walk out and then 10 seconds later walk in. I'm always in frame, which is kind of cool. So of course there will be the studio camera, which is not even plugged in yet, that you've seen before, and that's the movable one that Ryan has control over. So we still have to put that on a tripod with wheels so we can move that around a little bit more easily. But the point is, that will be out here for our shooting demo space. Oh look, my ears just fell apart. Excellent. Well, we'll just leave that out for now. It's always a bad sign when this comes off in your ear. So it's a work in progress. Now, over the course of the break, for those of you who didn't see it, over the course of the rebuild, I live streamed every day that I was in here, the entire time that I was in here. We have streams that go from 5 to, I think the longest is almost 9 hours long of me just in here building, talking to the audience. So if you want to see the progress, you can go back and scrub through. There's a whole playlist. I've already linked to it up here. There's a playlist built and you can see it. I will take all those videos and build a kind of time lapse out of it, but I don't know how good it's going to look because the camera is moving around. But we'll see what happens. But if you want to see the progress a little bit, you can go and scrub through those. Anyway, so that's what's been going on. Let's see. I got to get all my positioning still has to be adjusted. All right, so I really need to be like there. Let me see, is that right? Yeah, so I'm kind of off center. I still got to figure out my center point. Anyway, let's see what's going on in the comments here. Visual Education AV says, first time catching me live. Well, you picked a good one to catch live for the first time. Let me see, like Google scrolling comments still go flying by like crazy. You picked a good show to come in live for the first time, Visual Education AV, because this is fun. It's all new. It's all new. Let's see. Sergey says someone should come up with a 30-minute long funniest parts of all those hours. Well, that's a good idea. Who could I get to edit that? That'd be fun. So the background hum, Martin, again, we are going to have a different sound than we had before. Ryan has control of the equalizer. He will continue to tweak and adjust, and we'll see what we can do. There's a limit to what we'll be able to do for eliminating it, but he's going to work on it, and we'll see what we can get. And maybe we can get better than we've got right now, hopefully. Yeah, there's a big fan next door. Ryan is explaining to you in the chat there. Marco says, you're here again. Hello, Marco. And hey, everybody who is watching live, there were a bunch of you guys. Marco was here a bunch. Martin, of course, was here. Jake, good morning. You're here. Actual proper live. Bart was here. A bunch of you guys were here for the vast majority of the live stream while I was doing the build, which is just crazy awesome. A lot of you guys helped. So there was Ryan had made a joke about crowdsourcing the build out, and I thought that's insane. I really don't want 20 chefs in the kitchen. But it turned out to be a really, really good idea. I mean, the way this thing is built, my structure that you can't see, it's constructed at Unistrut. That was a suggestion out of the chat room. A lot of the things that are the way they are is suggestions out of the chat room, which is really cool. That was really, really fun. So again, thanks to all those who are here watching it live. Sean says, I'm digging the hair light. That makes me happy, and I'll forgive you if you don't hang the blanket. So I might hang the blanket. So, okay, first of all, so we do have a little bit of a hair light. It might be a little bit strong. But yeah, it might be a little strong, but it's one of the 3 lights that I had in the main space. 2 of them are now mounted onto my rigging here. The 3rd one is back there just pointing this way. I might put a different one there because I kind of need that light somewhere else. But yeah, having a little bit of a rim light there I think is good, especially, you don't notice it now, but yesterday I was wearing a darker t-shirt and it helped to outline me and separate me from the background. So I think that's good. So the hair light is good. Originally I said I wasn't going to do that, but once it was in, it was like, you know what, this actually is going to work out pretty well. Now, he's talking about the curtain / blanket. Again, you'll see this if you look at the behind the scenes stuff, or I will do a proper studio tour once everything is finished. On either side of me, out of frame obviously, are the walls of my structure, but they're empty, they're open. This side here is a shelf full of gear, to which the other side I could hang an acoustic blanket and potentially my photo backdrops so that I have a kind of instant shooting space. And Sean, the more I think about it, the more I like your idea, so it might actually happen. Talman says, checking in from Riverside, Alabama, that is, looking good, thank you very much. Marvin says, next project. No, not next project. Trevor says, are you announcing intentions to renovate the whole build using just a ripsaw and a cordless dress? It must be like I don't know what that means, a cordless dress. I don't plan on wearing a cordless dress, ever. It's not a strapless dress. Maybe it means a cordless drill. Drill, oh look at that, he's followed up on that. There you go. No, I already did that. Oh, and someone had made a joke about the 4-hour hole. Yeah, it took me 4 hours to drill a hole one day because I didn't have the right tools. I finally went to get the right tool. I took the live audience with me on the road to the hardware store. That was kind of fun. Okay, all the things we got to do. Martin, there go the comments. Martin says, it's amazing how much has changed once the frame was started. People have missed a real treat not watching the lives and banter. It was a lot of fun. The live streaming and the banter was definitely a lot of fun throughout the whole construction. Yeah, for those of you who didn't see it, you definitely missed out. But I'll try and do a recap of it, and I will certainly do a studio tour once it's done. I'm going to do a video just on the construction of the frame, because I think it's very useful. A little background on that. Once I realized that my hanging truss wasn't going to work, I remembered that I had seen on the Live Streaming Pros channel, I'd seen them talking about a strut, or showing a strut that they had built for, a truss rather, that they had built for a client. And I thought, that's what I need. So I called David over there. I sent him a message. David said, hey, that system, what's that called, and where do I get it? And he tells me that he'll hook me up, but they started around $5,000. I went, oh my God, that is not what I'm about to do. This whole thing was built for $500. So actually a little bit less than that. So I'm definitely going to do a kind of how-to on this and show how that whole thing came together. Shot some B-roll of that. Sean Mark Nipper helped me out with that. We went to Home Depot together. We got some B-roll of just kind of selecting the gear and of us putting it together. And what I'll do is I'll do a bunch more B-roll shots of the final thing and then do kind of a voiceover explaining, cut in. Anyway, we'll explain it. It'll be fun. It'll be good. Martin says, are we still doing any future lives? Any future lives? I don't know what you mean by future lives. Burns Tech, I have to remember to use PhotoJoseph again. Yes, you do. Make sure you type at PhotoJoseph if you want to get picked up in the comment. Marvin says another road trip. Yeah, we did. We did a road trip, but you missed it. I think you missed that one. So most everything is in place. The overhead camera is in place. So let's check that. Yep, we got the overhead camera on there. It's funny because now it's so high up that I have a little step stool here. So I'm gonna have to get a better one than this. I'm gonna get a rolling one, but I have to use a step stool to get up to it. But I can still go wide on that, so we can do the wide overhead, and I have a button to refocus now. That's handy. But there's my overhead all in place. There we go. So that is fully functional there, back to where it should be. Hello. Oh, there we go. Got to push the right button to make that focus. So that's in place. My close-up is here. That's the positioning of that isn't exactly right. I just kind of plugged that in yesterday, but that is there and in place. Got the computer, got the iOS devices all hooked in. Almost everything is hooked in. So it's exciting. It's cool. Ted says, do you have a picture of the table you were talking about yesterday, the standing table on wheels? Oh, I can pull that up because Jake sent me... Jake, how did you send that to me? That was an email, wasn't it? Yeah, let me pull up my email. So you might have noticed, just by the way I'm moving around, that I'm standing now, where I was sitting. This is another change that I wanted to make once I moved out here for multiple reasons. One, makes it easier to go from here to there, move around, right? Obviously, it makes it easier to move around when I'm standing. Also, you look better when you're standing, right? If I slouch on here, I'm gonna lean down like this. Whereas before when I was sitting, if I did that, you kind of, you set up and that's not good for, it doesn't matter how trim you are, that just doesn't look good. So this allows me to keep looking a little bit better, a little bit cleaner, and just more mobility of movement. And I like standing. I mean, I work at a standing desk all day. I like standing, so this is good. Let's see, let me pull up that email. Pretty sure it was an email that Jake sent. Vibration. Oh, one of the big challenges we had was vibration elimination. Ooh, which reminds me, that's right. I came in late last night. Sorry for the guys who were watching everything live. I didn't go live last night. I was here for a couple of hours, but the changes that I was making were very invisible. But one of the things I did was I remounted the truss to the back wall, the vibration wall, with a rubber washer in there. I had one of these guys, so I can't remember where all my cameras are. This rubber washer that I happen to have, and I cut a bigger hole in it so the 1/4-inch bolt could go through it. And that is now sandwiched between the bolt and between the bracket and the truss, which I don't see any movement, so it must be working, which is very exciting. So that is super cool. All right, rolling bench, here we go. So since I'm standing, this is my old table sitting on cinder blocks, super lame, and I can't move it. So what I would like to do is to be able to have a table that's wheeled that I can move around. Like my main table, which I think you can see the wooden one that's over there, but I don't want to move that into here because that I use for a ton of other stuff. That needs to stay there. So I need a new standing table, and I said to my live chat audience, hey, anybody got any suggestions? Can you find something? Jake found something. Let me pull, too big here. That's right, here we go. This thing, which is pretty cool, doesn't look fancy, but that's fine because I will put my metal tabletop on top of that, adjustable height and wheeled. So pretty good. Price isn't too bad, about $245, but there's another $110 for shipping. So I think unless I find something better, I didn't even notice this. Look at this. It's wrong camera. Here we go. It actually has little power things built into it, or I guess holes for it. Maybe you can install them yourself. Anyway, so that's kind of cool. I will probably do that. I like that idea, unless I find something better than that. But I do want to have a standing rolling table. I think that would be important to have. It would help. The camera's going to get moved. The TV's mounted on the wall now, but that's going to change because it's not really convenient the way it is. But there we go. Anyway, let's see, back into the comments. What else is going on in here? So Martin says, sorry, I'm mean. Are you going to do any future studio rebuild lives while you finish things up? Okay. Probably not. I think we're done with that because all the rest of the changes are going to be mostly cleanup, minor stuff, replacing some furniture. No, I think we're done. I think we're done with the live streams of the rebuild because the rebuild is primarily done. Sorry. Burns really likes that overhead shot. That looks awesome. Thank you. Marco says the highlights of the show were drilling the big holes and Mad Joseph on Fury Road to the hardware store. I had to go to 2 stores to find a drill bit big enough. Super annoying. Marvin says, no, I was watching a lot till 3 a.m. Of course you were, Marvin. You didn't miss that road trip. Robert says, good hair light. Thank you, Robert. I think you're the one who was left the comment suggesting that again. And a few people had said it, and you're right. It's too strong. I think it's a little bit too strong, but we'll see. It's the wrong light to be there anyway. I need that light for somewhere else, but we'll see what it is. Sean's pointing out, nice to have a Sean button close by. The Sean button is the autofocus button. That's an old joke. Roberts, what are your plans for the background? So the plan for the background is no plan. This is the background. The background will constantly change depending on what's happening back there. It's a little bright, which that's a challenge that I have. I feel like the background is a little bit too bright, but the only way to make the background darker, obviously I could lower the lights on it, but the other camera kind of needs all that light. So I would need to compensate for that by adding more light to the foreground so the exposure on the camera can change. I don't know, what do you think? Is the background too bright? You tell me, is it too bright? Is it distracting? Should it be darker, or is it fine the way it is? Ted says, I say leave the background natural, no backdrop. That's exactly the plan. Just show an active student in the background. That is the entire plan, Ted. That is exactly why we did this. Technique of says, would you make a gear list of the new studio? Yeah. What was that thing called, Ryan, that we found? There's a new kind of gear website that's really cool that allows you to highlight all your kind of gear kits. Like MKBHD's already got a thing up there. A bunch of big names have already got stuff up there. It's pretty cool. So I was planning on doing that over the break, but that never happened. But I will do that. There's a lot of links down below already for stuff, but yeah, I'll do a specific one for that. That's going to be important. Rich says, did anyone Or did you consider T-SOT for the structure? I don't know what T-SOT is, so I'm going to say no. Burn6 is slightly dimmer on the background just to help separate you from it. May give it more dynamic effect. Yeah, I agree. So the most effective way to make the background dimmer is actually to make the foreground brighter. But these lights are at full intensity, so that's going to take a little bit of figuring. Martin says, background looks good to me, looks real and interesting, and that is exactly what the background is. Hello, Frederick says, I love this shot, perfect bokeh and sharp as a razor. What lens camera combo are you piping into YouTube? Hello, Frederick. So the camera that's on is the Blackmagic, the same one that I had before, the mini studio micro mini thing. Yeah, micro 4/3. The lens that's on there is the 25mm f1.4, but it's quite stopped down. I could get a lot more bokeh on this. The challenge is that if I open it up, I would need less light, and I actually need to do more light. So who knows, maybe I'll end up putting a ND filter on that lens, because I do like having the bokeh. I could have even more bokeh if I opened it up more, make the background even softer, which would be quite good. As long as I have enough room to move, I need to be able to move a little bit and stay in focus. So I can't go too shallow depth of field. But yeah, it works. It works out nice, doesn't it? I think it looks really good. So thank you for saying. Robert says, background, well, it's okay, but darker would be better. Foreground separation, yeah, I agree. The background, okay, background's a bit busy, Ted says, yeah, it's a disaster back there. And if it's a little bit more out of focus, then it'll separate it even more as well. Didn't notice the taunting, didn't notice until you asked about it, maybe is what you mean. Martin agrees with Frederick, thank you very much. Sorry, T-slot material, Rich says. T-slot, I still don't know what T-slot is. I do not know. What's up says, you already ditched Wirecast? Oh, my friend, I ditched Wirecast a long, long time ago. How do I do overlay shots? Okay, so what's up? There, we will link to it up here. I did a video a couple of weeks ago, right before the break, that was a short version of my entire studio, gave a tour of how everything is connected, all the actual streaming part of it, not the physical setup, but the streaming part of it. So we'll link to that. You can watch that video. I answer all of your questions as far as overlays and everything else goes. Burns says, if you feel comfortable with it, wire up a dimmer switch in line with the extension cord and an outlet, kind of a DIY step. Well, all of these lights have dimmers, but now they're raised up high. I think these can actually be remoted, but I don't want to dim the background lights and then have to brighten them when I go over there to do a demo. The lighting needs to not have to change throughout the show. So really it comes down to more light in the front or less light in the back, but when I shoot in the back, when I'm shooting that space with the other camera, the moving camera, I can't have a really wide aperture lens. I have to be able to stop down so that I get a lot of depth of field, because that's where I'm really moving around a lot, right? I'm not looking for artsy look there. I need to have a more traditional video look where everything's in focus, because I'm moving around all over the place, right? I don't want to have shallow depth of field. So that means I do need a lot of light back there. But here I do want the shallow depth of field, so I know it's a little bit, it's kind of they're backwards, they're contradicting each other. So really, I think the only real solution is to get more light on me here and put an ND filter on the lens. But we'll see, we will see. Full shot's better than the comments. Well, but then if I don't have the comments up, then you guys can't see it. But yes, there is the full shot. The full shot is definitely better than seeing the comments. It's more interesting now, for sure. That is for sure. Burns says, gotcha, there you go. There's a challenge for you to get a good balance. It is a challenge, it is. But this whole thing has been a challenge, and that is the fun of it, without a doubt. That is the whole fun. So yeah, that's what we've got so far. That is what we've got so far. Here, let me do this. I'm gonna give you a tiny preview. Can I get that to this camera easily? I think I can. Let me unhook this. Oh, the other cool thing about being out here is when I need something out of my gear drawer, I can just go get it instead of telling Ryan and trying to explain what I want. But let me grab my close-up camera here. It's on this really crappy tripod. Let me see if I can, there we go. That is released. Ooh, I don't have, okay, let me switch over to this. This is gonna get a little bit jumpy here, but let's zoom out. Oop, I guess that's as wide as it goes. So there's, I'll give you a little bit of preview. There's the shelves and the audio gear on there. The laptop, my Ninja, you can kind of see a little bit more what that system looks like. But there's the rigging, a little bit of preview of the rigging up there. The mass amount of cables. Now I will do some cable dressing once everything is done to make it look a little bit nicer. The rigging also allows me to put, so there's one of the lights that used to be on a stand that is now pointing to the background, and the other side is there. You can see that there. Let's go back to, let's see, now I'm trying to look at what I can see there. So those three panels are, there's always, sorry I can't go any wider. You can see another leg down there. I can't, or maybe I can. give you a little preview. Yep, there we go. Let's go up to there. So there's how it's mounted to the wall. That's the wall that was getting the vibration from. There's a rubber grommet in there now, like I was explaining, that is protecting that. The other side, you can see over there, kind of how that's mounted to the wall as well. So it's quite the robust setup. It definitely is a robust setup. Put that back on, put this camera away, try not to drop it. Excellent, and there we go. Okay, and I just lost my second ear thing popped out. Wow, I guess it's been a while since I've used those, so they've decided to all go wonky loose on me. Let's get back in there. All right, so let's see, what else? Anything else? Which lens on the Blackmagic? Again, it's the 25 f1.4. That's the Panasonic 25. It's the Leica 25-1.4 lens. I don't actually need it to open that wide, and it's not. It's probably at 2.8 or something like that. I don't remember. But so I could use a different lens, and if I end up moving the camera forward, which is probably going to happen, I will probably have to put a different lens on there anyway, because it'll be too tight. That's not a zoom lens. It's more convenient to have a zoom lens there. So I'll probably put a 12-35 back on. The only reason the 25-1.4 is on there was because when I was experimenting with doing a 60p stream, I needed more light, and I didn't have more light, so I had to open up the lens to be able to get a proper exposure, because when you're shooting at 60p, you need a lot more light than you do when you're shooting at 24p. At least you do if you want to shoot at a 180-degree angle, which is what I want to do. So there's that. Yeah, it's coming together. There's still work to do. There's a lot of cleanup to do, a lot of dressing to do. I think I will probably end up hanging the blankets on either side of here, kind of enclose the space a little bit acoustically. Also, I can, oh, that's right, I'd forgotten. Now, that's something I was going to do, is probably stretch two of the blankets across the top of this to kind of isolate the space a little bit more and make it sound a little bit cleaner. SkateTube says, I don't know why, I love the background like it is now with all the things. Well, that's the idea, my friend. That is the idea, to have the background there with all the goods showing off. So there you go. That's where we're at right now. It's coming together. All right, folks, I've got some work to do. I have not done any production work in like 3 weeks, and I'm behind. I got some client stuff to work on, so today I actually have to get back to work. Last question, Mr. Tesla says, what type of lights you're using? It's a mixed bag. The lights that are up there are almost see it, but not quite. It's a G, SpectroLED, Geno something. I got them from B&H. Go to B&H and search SpectroLED, all one word, S-P-E-C-T-R-O, SpectroLED, all one word. And then it's like Genaray. Oh, they're in the description? Really? Oh, Ryan will add them to the description down below. So Ryan will stick them in the description below. Geno something. Anyway, Genaray, that's it, Genaray. I really like them. They're round. I have 5 of these lights. I have 3 big ones, and then I have 2 smaller ones which aren't in use yet. So, because those were my background lights before, but not anymore. So, but I need lights in other places, so they're not, there's always something to do. Anyway, all right, guys. Ted, thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. That was fun. We'll see you on Monday for a regularly scheduled show. Laters. I forgot how to end my show even. It's funny. It's all gone. You stop doing the thing for 3 weeks and you forget the details. Anyway, doesn't matter. We got it figured out. Right, Ryan? We'll get back into this thing. We'll get back into the swing of it. No problem. Rich is sending me an email for the T slot I may like for making a table. Oh, okay, cool. That's excellent. Sounds good to me. All right, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.